So just the other day, I was sitting in this same exact spot wearing these same exact clothes, and I thought to myself, F it, let's do another preview. So here we are, a little over 2 weeks away from the final of my favorite competition, the Champions League, which means we gotta break it down. Where the back-to-back defending champions Real Madrid are taking on the team that feels destined to win this, Liverpool. And we're gonna do this breakdown by comparing the two clubs in one area of the field at a time. So is that cool with everybody? Just nod if that's cool. Cool. And we're gonna start with the goalkeepers, Keylor Navas versus Loris Karius.
It's Loris, not Lorius. Just letting you know. So protecting you from the comments. Carry on. For me, Navas is one of the most underrated, underappreciated, least respected top goalkeepers in the world. The dude has won 2 consecutive Champions League titles. He won La Liga the season before. He helped a bang-average Costa Rica team qualify for the World Cup, and yet people still think he sucks. While Karius hasn't won anything besides the starting job over Simon Mignolet, which apparently was harder for him to do than it should have been, because have you seen Mignolet play? He's not good. He also helped lead his squad to a most likely top 4 finish in the Premier League. I'm talking about Karius here. And now the Champions League final, and yet people still think he sucks. I mean, come on. It's not like he gave up 6 goals to Roma over 2 legs or anything. Oh, wait. Never mind. So anyway, the edge for me, and I'm sure for everyone else that has a brain, which is based on talent and having been in this situation before, is going to go to Navas, who is now 90 minutes away from being a part of a team that, if they win, will go down as one of the most dominant in European history, which again, if it does happen, will hopefully keep Navas's haters quiet for a while. And now let's head to the back line for both clubs, and we're going to start with Liverpool first this time, and their 19-year-old right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is obviously an incredible and steady talent at such a young age, but I think trying to handle Cristiano Ronaldo while Marcelo is overlapping out wide relentlessly throughout the game, while also not being overwhelmed by the moment of playing in the game that most players would die to play in, I just think it could be too much and could end up being a struggle for him. And speaking of struggle, it's probably a good time to bring up the player that plays next to him, Dejan Lovren, who is always good for 1 or 2 holy what were you thinking plays every single game, though he seems to have improved next to his newest teammate and January transfer window savior Virgil van Dijk, who is the leader that this back four desperately needed. He's calm, composed, and gives confidence to those around him, which might be his most important quality, especially since he's got 2 young outside backs in the back line with him, including the left back Andrew Robertson, who will be off his left shoulder, who's really been the unsung hero for this Liverpool team since he clawed and climbed his way into a starting position that he doesn't look to be relinquishing anytime soon. But like Alexander-Arnold, this is the fucking Champions League final, so I think we'd all be like, yeah, we get it if you're overwhelmed, because I would be overwhelmed. So if he can stay level-headed and keep playing within himself and not try to be anything that he's not, he's going to be just fine. Or he's going to be a dumpster fire. It's one of those 2 options. As for Madrid, well, they have 2 of the most well-respected defenders in the game in their team, like Sergio Ramos, who, like most of his team, seems to love to play his best in the biggest of games. Plus, as captain, he's the emotional leader of the team, which can work against him at times when he makes some rash challenges. But overall, it's one of his biggest strengths, and I really believe his team feeds off of this energy. Just like they feed off of Marcelo's as well, whose probing runs into the attacking third always cause trouble for other teams, which, let's be honest, probably makes him more of a deep-line winger than a true left back, especially since he can't be bothered to always do his defensive duties, which seems to be part of his Brazilian charm. But he's so good at what he does, he has definitely become one of the best in the world at his position, if not the best. And as for the other 2 guys in Madrid's back line, well, it looks like Dani Carvajal will be fit from his hamstring strain, which is good because I was like, what the hell is Zidane doing playing Lucas Vazquez, who is undoubtedly an attacking player, against Bayern Munich of all teams at right back, which I don't think worked to great effect, which is why we saw Nacho start there instead in El Clasico. But with Carvajal's imminent return, they get a great professional who is honest and hardworking and who has good positional instincts, so his steadiness will be appreciated and needed by his team. And then there's Rafael Varane, who doesn't get talked about much, but he is a great yin to Ramos's yang, and who, I would like to add, has terrific speed, which is going to be incredibly important to keep pace with Liverpool's front 3. So the edge, again, and this is leaning less on talent this time around and more on the winner's mentality that can only be established by capturing multiple trophies over the years, goes to Real Madrid. That is, unless Sergio Ramos gets a red card early on in this game, which is more than possible. And now in midfield, I think this one proves to be a little more difficult than what you might think when you read the names on paper, because for Madrid, it's Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro, assuming they play with three, which they don't always do, as I'm sure you know, because sometimes Isco or Vasquez or Asensio will drop in or go wide to make it a four-man midfield. But for argument's sake, let's just say it's those three that I mentioned, and you pit them against Milner, Henderson, and Wijnaldum instead of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, because the Ox is hurt, unfortunately. Pretty sad to see him go down. Anyway, I would take Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Even though I'm holding up what looks like 5 fingers. But in saying that, James Milner has more assists in the Champions League this season than anyone else has ever. Jordan Henderson has really come into his own as captain of the team, and Wijnaldum is a seasoned professional who knows how to get the job done. In fact, all 3 of these guys know how to get the job done. And that's really important, especially in a one-off game. So the challenge, though, for all of these players on both teams will be A, who does a better job of transitioning the team from the defense to the attack, and B, who gets the ball to their best attacking players in the best spots in the field for these best players to do their thing. Personally, I think Liverpool's front 3 is so dynamic, you could get the ball to them anywhere in the attacking half and they can do something positive with it. Whereas with Madrid's front 3, I feel like Isco or Bale and maybe Vasquez or Asensio can be dangerous and potentially launch attacks from anywhere in the attacking half. But Ronaldo and Karim Benzema, well, they seem to do most of their damage 25 yards away or closer in from goal, which in theory will take a little more work to get them the ball in their dangerous areas, especially with Liverpool's high pressing. So speaking about who has the edge, weirdly, and maybe this is just due to the system that Jurgen Klopp has put in place and the amount of ground these guys cover to protect the back 4 and get the ball to the right guys at the right time, I feel like Liverpool has the edge here. I really do. However, I can't emphasize enough how special I think Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro are and how vital they've been to Madrid's success the last few seasons. I just don't think the flow is exactly right with Madrid this season, which has been proven in their league form, and I can't really figure out why. Is it complacency? Are they not as hungry? Is it because they've all aged a few years? And I know what that feels like, it sucks. Is it because the Champions League is all that matters to them now? Or maybe it's because Isco and to a lesser extent Asensio and Vasquez, well, they've grown in confidence and stature, and their presence on the field now forces Modric and Kroos to do less going forward because these younger players are taking up the space that they used to run into. That's something to think about. And finally, as for the front 3, Liverpool have scored more goals in a Champions League campaign than anyone else has ever, and that has to be respected, despite the fact that Madrid have the best big game player in the world who, no matter what the situation is or if he has a hurt ankle or whatever, Cristiano Ronaldo will play, and he will somehow make a difference, a positive difference in this game, and that will be his legacy, which is a great legacy to have. Because even though he might not be as gifted as Messi clearly is, the guy historically shows up in the biggest games, and it's always super impressive. And with Benzema seeming to be peaking at the right time, and Isco becoming more and more of a force, or if Bale plays, who he himself has something to prove because he doesn't play as much anymore, so he needs to play well to end up at another big club in the summer, I don't know, man. I feel like every time I say these guys at Real Madrid aren't going to win, they win. So why fight it anymore, right? But everything seems to be going Mohamed Salah's way this year, so maybe he's fated to do something special again. And with this supporting cast of Bobby Firmino and Sadio Mane playing at their best this season, which coincidentally has come after Coutinho left the team, maybe it's Liverpool's turn to become champions of Europe again. But Cristiano has to know that if he wins the Champions League, he'll be a favorite for the Ballon d'Or again, and if he doesn't and Salah wins, then Salah will definitely be the favorite along with Messi, who will come into it as the winner of 2 trophies this season, which means the decider will be who plays better at the World Cup. And I'm not sure anyone has any idea how Portugal, Egypt, and Argentina are going to really perform once that tournament starts. Though, it feels like Portugal has the best chance for a deep run. But they thought that in 2014 as well, and they didn't even get out of the group. But that's what happens when you're in the US's group. We're just not in a group this time. I don't really want to talk about it. Anyway, I'm going to give Liverpool the edge in the front 3 because at this very moment, I think they're better than Madrid's front 3. However, even though my heart wants Liverpool to do it and win this competition because it would be cool to see Dejan Lovren have more Champions League trophies than the mighty Zlatan Ibrahimovic, my head knows that this group of Madrid players was built for winning these types of games, these big finals with everything on the line. So this is how the game is going to go down. I expect Liverpool to go up early with their high pressing, maybe even go up 2-0. Then Madrid's going to fight back. They're going to score the equalizer late in the game, and then it'll go into extra time, and Madrid will score somehow, some way to win this 3-2. You heard it here first. So that is it. I am done. So hit those magic 3 buttons of subscribe, like, and turning your notifications on before you leave your comments below. And then when it's all said and done, I cannot wait to come back to this and rub it in all of your faces when I get this prediction exactly right. And it's going to look a lot like this. My hand in your face. Enjoy it. Later.